Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Bill Burr in hot water for his wife's social faux pas as she flips off Trump behind his back at a UFC event, which is reason number 1,999.9 thousand or 1 billion. What is it? So let's say that's reason 1,958,875,433 to be very careful about who you choose to marry, because they're going to have a big impact on your life for better, or in this case, for worse. Now, this also shows how mentally, morally, I would say how mentally vacuous Bill Burr's wife is. Again, I'm not a doctor, but if you click subscribe, it may cure the stuttering. Perhaps. Maybe. Just saying, it can't hurt to try it out. Now, again, a lot of people are saying it's a red flag that Bill Burr's wife never actually took his name when they got married. And she is an interesting character. She goes on his podcast, which Bill has a great podcast, very entertaining. And some of them she actually does, pretty good. Makes it a little bit more entertaining, kind of switches up the interaction. So Bill Burr's wife has had her moments in the past. Now, of course, she first grew to prominence in terms of controversy. In 2022, she actually tweeted, "God, I hope Trump gets the virus," unquote. Interestingly enough, depending on what words you do, you actually get your videos delisted, or what's the other fancy word? Ghost banned or shadow banned, as the youth might call it. So the virus from China is what I'm referring to. So you already know she's morally vacuous and disgusting, because what kind of a person wishes a disease on someone? That doesn't seem like someone has their head together, so to say. Now, one of the first people to tweet this actually comes from Libby Simmons, and she says before the text, or the video rather, she says, "Donald Trump walked into an arena that holds 20,000 people, and 19,999 were so happy, and then Bill Burr's wife." And that got 5.4 million views. And while you can't, I'm just going to say, if you have suggestions for picture-in-picture software production technology, I appreciate any feedback, because I'm trying to grow the show, make it a little bit more interactive, and increase the quality of it. I've tried a couple, but keep having some issues with the picture just not working properly with the camera that I'm currently using, which is a Razer Hyken 4K. So if you have suggestions in the comments, I really appreciate currently using OBS open source to record the show now. But without further ado, I will play this. So it's Donald Trump, Bill Burr, you see Kid Rock there, and then Bill Burr's wife, she's sitting there looking like a spoiled brat, and she just flips off Donald Trump behind his back, which is another sign that you're a child. And you have no social skills. I can't fathom. Perhaps she just wants attention because no one knows her real name, because everyone just refers to her as Bill Burr's wife. But again, even if you don't agree with someone, most people show a modicum of respect when they're in public, especially, I mean, this is an event that Trump was apparently invited to. I mean, the whole arena loves him. He's supported the UFC for years. And I don't even know. I'm wondering if Bill Burr got the tickets for free because he's a famous comedian, or maybe he paid a lot to sit there. So if they got them for free, or even if they purchased them, they are guests at that establishment. And she's acting like a child. Now, again, this got 5.4 million views. And I can't help but wonder, again, I mean, there are a lot of people who hate Trump. So maybe, not positive, but maybe there's a certain amount of those people in the comments that support her. Perhaps there will be a lot of cliche comments like, "Girl, you go, girl," or something to that effect. Let's dive in and find out. Someone by the name of George Lax Polis says, quote, "She is why he stopped being funny. I will never forgive her," unquote. Got 4.4 thousand likes of 163,000 views. Niamat says, quote, "The funny part is Bill Burr married the same woman that he's been making fun of throughout his entire comedy career," unquote. He got 1.5 thousand likes for that. Someone by the name of Chess, who gets an A+ for marketing because the profile picture upon inspection is of a chessboard. Perfect, I know exactly. Although, I don't think this is a sentient chessboard, that'd be quite concerning. But nevertheless, this alleged chessboard says, quote, "Classless," unquote, getting 1.4 thousand likes. It reminds me of a wise old saying someone once told me, where they said, You can buy school, but you can't buy class. That sounds about right. Let's see here. N. Holmes says, quote, she's a loser, unquote, getting 1.2 thousand likes. J. Rue says, quote, she's upset because no one knows her name and just calls her Bill Burr's wife, unquote. Laughy emoji 3 times. Gets 8.8 thousand likes. Susan Smith chimes in and says, Bill Burr has crappy taste in women, unquote, getting 2.5 thousand likes. The Appalachian podcast says, quote, well, she's pretty... Excuse me. The Appalachian podcast, again, they say, quote, well, she's pretty oppressed. I mean, she's having to sit one row behind the most recognizable man on the planet at an expensive UFC event, unquote, getting 3.6 thousand likes. Now, we do have some supportive ones that are starting to brew to the surface, or in this case, because we're talking about the UFC, maybe tussle to the surface, leg lock, funny third thing. Nevertheless, someone by the name of Elijah Joel says, quote, she represents the U.S. voter, unquote, getting 522 likes. Let's see here. K11 says, quote, this is what free speech is all about. I fought for it. Does not mean I have to agree with it. Do your thing, young lady. Unquote, getting 385 likes. Which, again, I don't think anyone is saying she shouldn't be allowed to say those things. I think a lot of the comments are just saying, well, that's not very classy. Especially, it's behind someone's back. Like, it's one of those things where I just lose a lot of respect for someone just right off the bat if that's their stance, where they only insult someone when there's, well, in this case, there's little consequences because it's filmed. But how childish is that? They only have the respect to say it to the person's face? Now, I say that, and of course, the next comment is by Bobby Moody, getting double the likes from the one who just said about free speech. Bobby Moody says, quote, classless, getting 877 likes. John Bind says, quote, so trashy, surprise, surprise, unquote, getting 554 likes. Mars Davis actually says, quote, look forward to seeing Bill Burr's seats in the back of the third balcony next time he goes to the UFC while Trump's attending, unquote, getting 690 likes. The Sadie Gray says, quote, 1 out of 20K ain't so bad. Never heard of her anyway, unquote, getting 963 likes. Ed Morales says, quote, Mr. Burr chose poorly, unquote, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Which again, you're supposed to be, well, he is a famous comedian, obviously. I think most of the most famous comedians of all time, they make fun of everyone equally. I think that's one of the reasons everyone made people like Dave Chappelle so much and call him the GOAT is he takes no prisoners, as the youth might say. And he makes fun of people on the left, people on the right, pretty much everyone. And Bill Burr, having his wife being much more historically anti-Trump and having this leach into his social life, and again, she's a representation of him and vice versa, you're going to alienate some fans. Again, he's not going to go out of business or not going to be able to make a gainful living tomorrow. Certainly not. He has a huge audience of dedicated fans. That's not going to happen. I suspect he might lose a few percentage points, though. Let me know in the comments if this sways your opinion on him, or if you would never see him again, or if you would or would not support him based on his wife's childish behavior. It'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say in that regard. A lot of people poking fun at her weight. This person by the name of Benjamin Forklift says, quote, I would too if I became Sherman Klump from Nutty Professor at age 40, unquote, and got 750 likes. And she is large in the picture. Will not comply says, quote, a bitter Pelosi is what she is, showing no class, unquote, getting 236 likes. So again, I'm scrolling. Let's see. P.S. Amps says, quote, he has the video he made about Yoko screeching at when John was singing with Chuck Berry and how Lennon should have handled her. Let's see if he practices what he preaches, unquote, getting 111 likes. K. Nan says, quote, so many things about Bill Burr make sense now, getting 70 likes. Let's see. A lot of people, some people are calling Bill Burr weak, and they have a picture of him with his wife, who's looks like she's larger, well, she's bigger than him, but in the picture, he appears to be, I suppose the receiving end, like in terms of like a couple holding hands or embracing each other, that got 117 likes. So, interestingly enough, it looks like while she did not, well, she certainly got ratioed, as youth might say, but it wasn't as bad as the Chris Christie effect, or the anomaly. Perhaps we should come up with a term with that. The instance where we actually looked at Chris Christie's tweet, and there was 0 people who agreed or liked his original tweet in the response sections. 0. Like, so some people, correction, some people liked it, but there's not a single positive response about Chris Christie when he tweets sometimes, which is a mathematical anomaly. I mean, presumably he has a wife and kids and a family, or staffers, so you would think one person on the staff would, chime in something. But no, he got 0. So it wasn't that bad. There was one positive comment here, and I suppose, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, no, it looks like, yeah. Yep, I was gonna say, yeah, there might be another positive comment if we scroll long enough. But as you might say, epically ratioed, and again, let me know. It'd be interesting to see what type of effects this has on his career in terms of, again, I suspect it would decrease his number of people who buy tickets by maybe 1 or 2%. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be significant. It might be a couple days of backlash on social media, which probably won't affect Bill because he's really not that active on the Twitter and all the social medias. But again, huge. It went viral on the Twitter, as the youth might say, and it'd be fascinating to hear what your take is on the situation. Thank you, everyone, again, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you have any other comments on how we can make the show better, I appreciate the feedback if you put them in the bottom of every video, or you can send me a message on YouTube, or if you can hit me up on the Twitter, as 18 people call it the X, at The Topping Show. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.